Chai After Dark includes adult language and NSFW content. If you have uncle sensibilities, this podcast is not for you. Please be aware this episode includes discussions of sexual violence and abuse. Hey, potty people, it's your captain speaking from greatpods.co, Captain Ron. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. We go deep and we don't get no sleep because we be drinking chai all night to the early light. In this episode, we continue with HBO's documentary Breath of Fire, Episode 3. Breath of Fire offers a multi-decade examination of corruption within Kundalini yoga and a portrait of a misguided guru and master manipulator, spotlighting the uneasy nexus of the American dream, self-invention, and fanatical ideologies. The second half of this episode, or even in the documentary, get a bit serious. So please take care. On that note, let's go. Hey, potty people. Salam, namaste, and sasriyakal. Samim, how do you say that?
Satsriyakal.
Satsriyakal. Hello.
Welcome to a new episode of Chai After Dark.
Chai. It's pretty lit up where you are. How after dark is this?
It's not. That is
It's before
true.
dark.
It is Chai. This is the special edition Chai before dark. That's right.
This is the classic Desi tea time.
That's right.
Oh,
and tea time is about to get afternoon tea spicy. There is such thing as afternoon tea anyway. So I think I fit that mold at the moment. How are you guys doing?
I am good. I just came back from a panel I spoke on about Chai After Dark at the Open Conference in the Bay Area for South Asian entrepreneurs. And my panel was called Brown is Beautiful / Desi Power.
Ooh.
Sorry, I missed it.
What were your bullet points? What were you talking about?
I don't remember. I'm thinking about Yogi Bhajan now. I just told everyone our podcast is really cool. Come and listen to it. It's fun AF. And that's what you got to do.
You told a bunch of Pakistani entrepreneurs, my dad's friends, uncles
and aunties alike,
to come listen to this shit. Okay.
Hey, a listener is
uncles and
a listener.
Welcome.
Well, see, that's why we have that's why we have the disclaimer at the beginning. Like, okay, if you have auntie or uncle sensibilities,
and one of them, they'll think about that. They'll be like, "Yeah, I am an auntie, and I do have sensibilities. Okay, I won't listen."
I'm gonna call Samim's dad right now.
Oh yeah, Loka Kehenge, you're in trouble now. Your mom's gonna call you up during this episode. She's gonna call you up, and she's like, "You have something to tell me?"
Yeah, I know.
Like
that
she
already
always
happened
does.
once, right? I think we mentioned
exactly. Exactly. Well,
cool.
Welcome everybody. Joined by my lovely co-host. This is your captain speaking, Captain Ron, and I am with Samim, the Dream, me. What's up, Samim?
We should start like a game show if you're going to be introducing me like that.
Oh, that's every week, bro. It's a game. Life is a game. Podcast is a game. And also joined by the lovely Shubnum, Black Shubnum, Nums. What's up, Shubnum?
Hey, I mean, I don't think you could say the Black Shubnum without referring to the episode, because just for our new listeners, it has nothing to do with race. It's literally the color of clothes.
It's the outfit.
So,
It was the
yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
So please go listen to all the episodes we have released. There's a bunch of them, and it'll be good for your walk. It'll good for cleaning. If you're doing vacuuming, chores, getting your oil changed, whatever, and you're looking for
Commute.
something. Yeah. commuting as well, go back and check the library of episodes we've released so far. And just to give a pat in the back for all three of us, that this many episodes in, how many episodes are we in actually?
16, I think.
Shut up.
I think it's 16.
16?
Somebody asked me that, like, I'm pretty sure it was like one episode ago, and it was, I think this is the 17th episode. When it comes out, this is the 17th episode, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. If that is the case, so it's more than 10, that's for sure. And I just want to give y'all a high five, pat in the back, that we're able to edit and release more than 10 episodes. If it's 17 episodes, that's a massive congratulations, because it's not easy to record and edit. We're not doing unedited stuff and putting it out there. We're concentrating. We're watching these episodes and giving our commentary. That's a lot of work. And to release and publish these episodes, it's amazing. So please like, share, subscribe, give us feedback, of course. But this is a feat. A lot of podcasters, especially during like the pandemic era, me be a part of the podcast industry space, there was a boom of podcasts. But you know how many people tried it and then just gave up? Like at least 50% of the people, they made 1 or 2 episodes and then that's it. There was no more from those people that wanted to try podcasting. So over 10 episodes, boom. That's amazing. And we're continuing to do so. So yeah, thanks you guys. It's good to be a part of this team.
We're brown. We will continue.
What the fuck?
That was the first line. It's like, we're brown.
She can't say you're welcome. She can't say, hey, Imran, it's been great to work with you as well.
No, I'm just saying, like,
nothing like that. We're brown.
If we failed and we only did one and we quit, our parents would slap us. So how are we going to do that?
How can she slap?
Yeah, how can she slap? That's crazy.
I'm going to bring back that meme. Yeah. Nobody remembers that anyway. That, there's, if you ever follow meme accounts and they always recycle the same memes, and sometimes it's like 2 years ago you saw the meme and they recycle it again. And they're like, yeah, I guys, it's not brand new. Well, that one meme, the how can she slap, like 10, 15 years ago, that has not been recycled back again. And I kind of miss it.
I'll slap the shit out of you next time I see you, dude. Don't worry about it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So I feel like it on video. Yeah.
We'll get it on video. We'll put it on our TikTok.
Whenever,
I'll do a double backhanded slap. I'll go
whenever I don't visit San Diego.
And then I'll go back this way.
Chapati and a chaper. No, I don't even know.
Very good. Well, we're going to get into it. Less banter, more about this episode. This is Breath of Fire, episode 3 on HBO Max. It's a documentary based off of the Kundalini yoga cult that's happened over the decades. And and Shabnam has been gracious enough again to guide us through the episode. Samim shows, if you're listening to it, Samim is doing his double prayer hands to Shabnam. So thank you, Shabnam, for guiding us. You're our guidance, spiritual guidance. Right?
Yeah, here. It's pretty dark, but we're going to try to make a little bit light of the non-dark parts. So
please, be aware that there's going to be some heavy moments in this episode. We will do our best to also commentate along in a more responsible way. I think Samim and I will be a little bit more responsible. Right, Samim?
Why you got to pull me into this? I wasn't part of this cult.
You're always... You're
part of this Jai After Dark podcast cult. No, I'm just kidding. We're not a cult.
I'm cool with that, yeah. We should be a cult.
I'm waiting for that midnight society to grow. Like, hey, let's get this squad up and running. But let's get into it. I think we should get into it. I would love to get started because this is fresh. We watched it. We took our notes. So Shabnam, please guide us on this spiritual journey of this documentary.
I will be your cult leader for this episode. So the intro of the episode is all these images and scenes of flashy, opulent life playing to the soundtrack of what song, Imran? You don't know? It's called Money.
I'm looking at my notes. I didn't write down. I got the end song note, but I do.
It's called.
Stop testing me. This is not a test, is this? Shit.
You fail.
You lose.
It's called Money by the Flying
Best
Lizards.
Things in Life are free. Oh, the best thing, I have it here. Best things in life are free. And it's like a money song, right? The best things in life are free. I just hear a bunch of
life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees. Money.
That's what I want.
I just hear the intro of the song is just a bunch of dish, dish, dish,
Yeah.
dish, dish. But yes, the best things in life are free. Yeah.
Yeah. So the song's called Money. It's actually, I was listening to it on my long drive today, but that was one of the probably like funnest parts of this episode. But then we start off with Philip DeSilip Uncle saying it's ironic that the people that learned the most from Yogi Bhajan and saw clearly what he was doing were the criminals and con artists. And we learned that money was directly filtered to Yogi Bhajan. He felt really entitled to the finer things in life. He split his time between lavish homes in LA, India, and New Mexico, and he had vaults of jewelry. He says, I like to collect jewelry. Like Yogi Bhajan, Katie Griggs, aka Guru Jagat, also loved the finer things in life. She always needed to eat at fancy places like La Scala and Erewhon. Imran, you've eaten at both of those, right?
What was the first one?
La Scala?
I've never been there before. I never heard of it.
Okay, I never heard of it either. And I'm like, I don't know, am I saying it wrong? Or maybe I just, I don't know. I live in the Bay Area. But Erewhon.
But yes, so I have been to Erewhon, but I only go when my friends visit. I don't go there all the time. But I did see, you know who I saw at Erewhon once?
Katie Griggs.
The one
Yoga Lame.
in Studio City. We'll have an occasional celeb kind of walk through or whatever. It was Zoe Saldana.
Oh, nice.
So she was walking back, but we were leaving and she had the very don't talk to me walk, very speed walky.
Interesting.
And so walking, and I didn't notice. And my friends, they're far more attentive at who's who in this area. And I brushed my shoulder against her as she was walking opposite direction. And I'm like, what the heck? Who the heck? And they're like, that's Zoe Saldana. And I turn around and I look, I'm like, oh crap, that is her. That's cool. That was it. That was my only celebrity brushing. I like the turmeric. We talk about turmeric, haldi.
Yeah.
I like the haldi drink that they do have. So next weekend, I do have some friends visiting and I'll be having the haldi smoothie again. I haven't tried the Hailey Bieber though.
Yeah, that's the one everybody tries. I went to Venice in June and I took a hot yoga class, and then I went to Erewhon afterwards and I had the $20 smoothie with cholesterol in it, and I've been enlightened ever since. Let's just say, no more problems.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
TMI?
But what?
TMI? Too much information?
No, that's sarcasm.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Shake and bake.
Anyway, Katie was a real material girl, always buying jewelry. She said Yogi Bhajan taught her that if you are serving in this age, you will have more money than the beyond and the beyond and the beyond. And I wanted to ask her, like, how is this a spiritual experience when the only thing being focused on is the material girl?
And this is where she also says, like, break free from the spiritual materialism. And I was, okay, here you are going to fancy restaurants, right?
Yeah.
And Yogi Bhajan has Rolls Royces and all sorts of things. So this was a kind of like a money-making schemes, as it were.
Yeah. So Laura, her childhood friend who we met last episode, said that Katie said that the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is that the billionaire checks their astrology, and astronomy. So Leah Lamb, who was
all up in here.
Leah Lamb, who was part of the first generation of Yogi Bhajan's followers, said it was like Yogi Bhajan was reincarnated into a wild child female, and she was just on a roll, but on a bigger roll, she was like rolling it out, honey. And Leah Lamb's really cute. So now we hear from a bunch of Katie Griggs, aka Guru Jagat's followers, including Charlotte, Nicole, Nancy, and Elizabeth, all people we've met in previous episodes. They say at first it was really fun, but within the first year, they started to see the cracks in the magical facade. There was a lot of rhetoric around money. They were required to post on social media 3 times a day with all this behind the scenes footage and pictures. Rama's social media posts showed people with piercings, tattoos, and colored hair because their mandate was to attract an edgier clientele by communicating that yoga isn't just for those who can afford it, like those basic Lululemon bitches. They were targeting a sales funnel of getting people from their social media to click a YouTube video, from there signing up for free material, and then telling them, this is changing you and you need this, so spend all your money with us. On top of that, the Rama crew were directly instructed to upsell these clients memberships right after their classes, which are designed for you to go out of your body and become temporarily discombobulated. So they had 3 levels of membership. First was the Aquarian Women's Leadership Society, which was the lowest price point, and it was a virtual group for the low price of $797 a year. The second level was Immense Grace, which was more access to Katie via the workshops, retreats, and even Hari Jivan through some of the workshops and retreats. Hari Jivan, again, is aka Stephen Herzl, and that was for the bargain price of only $4,000 a year. So the third and highest level is called the Graces, which was for people who wanted Katie Griggs, aka Guru Jagat, to be their personal mentor, and the price point was a downright steal at $20,000 a year. Have you guys ever spent $20,000 on a mentor that you couldn't talk back to?
I spent $20,000 like on cars and maybe like a down payment for a house. Spending $20,000 on this lady, when you went through all that, everything they showed when she was speaking, it just screamed scam. It like screamed scam. So it's just amazing to me. $4,000 a year is a lot. That's like $400 a month. Like you can get 20 Netflix with that. So I don't like
you can lease a car money with that. Yeah.
I went the opposite direction. I didn't hear scam. I heard startup. Okay. We're all in the tech space. And the moment Charlotte said, I was like, I wasn't thinking about it until Charlotte, one of the ex members of the group who's being interviewed, talked about the customer journey. And I was like, yeah, now you got me perked up because I want to hear about what negative customer journey. I mean, obviously
it's a scam, dude, but it's a scam though.
They're marketing.
It was a funnel. It was a funnel.
Yeah. No,
it's a no. So are you saying? I'm going to argue this. It's a subscription service. It's a for-profit company. Okay. And it's just like, loosely based. I'm not going to say just like, so don't hold me to the fire on this one. But like whether it's Netflix or if it's airlines, you pay extra to get extra perks. All right. And you have these monthly or yearly subscription plan. That was their customer journey. You have the Netflix with ads for people who can only afford that. Then you have the Netflix with no ads. And then you have the Netflix 4K. There you go. Like that's your journey. Like if you have more money, you will pay for the 4K.
Yeah, but it's
$20K.
But that's not fraud. They're actually giving you what they tell you they're giving
you.
She says she's giving you spiritual enlightenment and she's going shopping with your money.
So it's not a fraud, but scam can be taken way more loosely, right? Like you go on DoorDash, you don't have Dash Pass, you order something for $18, it ends up being like $48, right? Like to get delivered if it's like 10 miles out or something like that's a scam, even though they're allowed to do it. It's not a fraud. Like that's how I see the difference. Like, I would say to her, like you can say it to their face, I'm not paying $20,000. This seems like a scam. I feel like that's a very legitimate sentence if they had asked. But you could just walk away,
also
right?
How it was set up, how they put it on paper was like, okay, this looks like a startup business or a business in general. Now, their execution, on the other hand, was scam. Right?
Yeah,
they were scamming everybody. So I put that out there. 100% scam.
Yeah, especially because they were specifically choosing people as marks to con, right? So the Rama crew specifically targeted rich women who wouldn't question Katie at all for the Graces membership, right? So they were like finding marks, basically, I mean, some may call that customer curation, but I don't know. I don't. And Katie basically told all her followers, like, her basic message was like, look at assholes. If you want to fix your life, then you should hand over every penny you have to me. And if you're not willing to do that, then I guess you're not really serious about fixing your shitty ass life. Was basically what she was selling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to deepen the level of manipulation and control, they started bastardizing Sikh religious concepts to convince people to give them more money. So, the documentary kind of glosses over this, but they kind of imply that in the Sikh religion, people give away like 11% of their earnings. I actually heard of this before, but when I heard of it, it was told to me as 10%. And I don't know what the requirements are. Like, is it to feed the needy? Is it to build temples, to pay their teachers? Like, I don't know enough about it to know what the proper origin and requirements are. And it wasn't made any clearer in the documentary at all. They just glossed over it, like I said. But basically, just like Yogi Bhajan, Katie, aka Guru Jagat, used that and manipulated her followers into handing over large percentages of their income to her. So the Rama crew were paid wages so low, they couldn't even cover one Erewhon smoothie a day. And even with that little income, they were told they could tithe some of that to Katie as a way to go deeper.
$100 a month, right? That's what one of them said she was getting paid.
Yeah.
$300 a month for her first 3 months in Rama. And then one lady was like, I was making $15 an hour. And then I remember I thought about it. I was like, oh, that's not that bad. And then she's like, I was making $15 an hour 9 years after starting. I was making $8 an hour when I first started there.
Yeah, it's crazy. So they also worked around the clock, which was tied to another bastardized version of a Sikh concept that Yogi Bhajan previously introduced called seva, which means selflessly serving to help others. But to Yogi Bhajan and Katie, others just meant me. Under the guise of seva, Yogi Bhajan used his followers to grow his company while they believed they were doing God's work. So Yogi Bhajan kind of reminds me of like this like dumbass class clown kid, probably like sitting in Punjab, like falling asleep during whatever version of Sunday school they had. And then like he woke up for 5 seconds and he heard seva. And then like in America, he's like seva. But anyways, Philip DeSilip Uncle said, many cults try to harness the labor of their followers like this, but very few are as successful as 3HO. They had legitimate businesses like Yogi Tea that did better than most. But they also had telemarketing schemes, fraudulent gemstone schemes, fine art schemes, and a massive drug smuggling operation from Thailand to the US. So in the mid-1980s, the FBI began surveilling them, and the FBI ended up busting one of Yogi Bhajan's lieutenants for smuggling 20 tons of marijuana.
Uh-oh.
I was like fascinated by that also, that I was like, okay, for profit, they're not even like using the non-profit religious status, right? So they went
No, they don't even try. They don't even fucking try.
No, we have to make money, right? So I was like, okay, that's a red flag right there. Okay.
Yeah.
So from 1983 to 1987, I looked up the lawsuit from that era. They were investigating them for like 3-4 years. So I was like, oh, this is quite the spicy drama. And it was Yogi Bhajan's National Affairs Officer, East Coast Lieutenant, drug smuggling, grenade launchers, machine guns, and more. I was like, what is happening
they
here?
didn't say that in the documentary. That's wild.
Yeah, they went through it really quick. Yeah, they went through it so quick.
And conspiracy to import marijuana is where, like, what you just mentioned. But then it got me thinking also about, remember Akal Security?
Uh-huh.
And so I was wondering if they're still around. Their website is defunct. It's no longer there. But their LinkedIn profile is still there.
Akal Securities?
And so it said it had 770 employees.
Holy shit.
And I was like, but they're not, I can only assume that they're no longer in business, just based on that easy Google search. But it's just like that whole for-profit versus non-profit thing, that's immediately a red flag. And we'll talk more about it as it goes on, because it comes up again.
Yeah, you know Sri Khalsa, the white guy with the beard? He was Yogi Bhajan's bodyguard. So I wonder if he still works for Akal Security or has like a leadership role in that. Or maybe not. Maybe he's totally left all that behind. I don't know. But
yeah, and the type of telemarketing scam was hilarious to me.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
So soon after that, there's a raid in the Washington, D.C. ashrams, which was considered one of the biggest drug busts in the U.S. at the time. So this resulted in a massive exodus of people that had any kind of moral standards and limits. And the people that stayed were compromised and or couldn't really see past the charisma of Yogi Bhajan. So one of those people was Stephen Herzl, aka Hari Jivan, and he started a toner scheme where they would sell toner at 5 times the price and then eventually just decided to take people's money and not even send them the toner at all. So remember how these white people decided to take on Sikh names like Sri Khalsa and Mahankiran Khalsa? Well, they can't go around calling regular American white people and rip them off with names like that. So Stephen Herzl, aka Hari Jivan, decided they have to come up with new fake, quote unquote, American names like Bob Smith to peddle that toner.
Bob
It was
Thomas.
like, yeah, it was like an Uno reverse card of cultural assimilation.
So
I was like,
know
you're
he
giving
could've-
Indian scammers a bad name.
You could have just started this in India, like all the Indian scam. I love watching those YouTube videos where scammers get outed by people in the United States or in a Western country or wherever. And they'll be like, I'm logging into your shit. And then Just V, the other side, is like, oh my God, you can see me on your camera. Like he gets caught. Like it's the most. Have you guys seen those scammer videos on
Yeah.
YouTube?
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Like these guys left India to come do it in the United States. They could have just stayed in India and done
Yeah.
it.
I was.
That sounds a
thinking
little. That sounds a little. I don't know, racist.
well, you
Stay
know,
in your
like
country.
but we outsource stuff, right? So nowadays, like I'll call a call center and I'll be like, "Hello, ma'am, this is Brian Jackson from Apple Support," and then I just want to be like, "Okay, relax, Chaitanya. It's just us. Like no one else is here."
Oh, I used to do that
Like,
all the time
Yeah.
when I used to work at, it was a laptop company. Anyway, so when we'd have to call like Microsoft or anybody else and they had the call center in India, they're like, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so. And I'm like, yo, it's Imran. And then they would know Imran
Yeah.
as a name. And so I'm like, I would immediately change going, yo, Baisab, what's up, bro? And they would immediately change their tone. Their tone was less serious and more jovial. And they were like, it's just like anything else. Like, as long as you can relate to them, they
Yeah.
start to loosen up and they're able to help you out faster. So I was
You
able
got
to
a
get
discount?
things done. I
Yeah.
was able to get things done. If I needed a status on a repair or get me some parts or whatever it is, they just like immediately opened up. It was great. Podcast note though, there's a podcast called Scam Town, and I like true crime scamming podcast because nobody dies in those. But they had one episode where they talk about telemarketing scam and the first appearance of telemarketing scam in the early 90s on a wide scale, right? Oh, and lastly, the music that they played was like that hustling Miami 1980s synth music that was going on. Is like, I was like, are they going to do cocaine or what? Like, what is happening with this synth music in Miami for this scamming? Like, they're hustlers, right? That type of music.
They were probably
Scammers.
smuggling that too. They were probably smuggling. Well, they said marijuana, so I don't know what they were smuggling. But thanks for 4 back-to-back stories, by the way, Imran.
You're welcome.
I don't know what you said initially.
Man. Usually it takes me an hour to tell these stories. You're welcome for those 5 minutes.
I don't know what your first story was.
He was talking about Desi privilege, the Desi IT privilege that we're all privileged with in the U.S.
Got it. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, was I? I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Stephen Herzl, aka Hari Jivan, justifies the scam by telling his followers there's no karma over the phone. So like Sri Khalsa, one of the second generation white guys that I was talking about earlier, and he was actually Yogi Bhajan's bodyguard, I believe. He said, who knew that karma could be circumvented by the modern invention of the telephone? So eventually, Stephen Herzl was indicted for fraud on his toner scheme, earning the name the Toner Bandit. Because if there's anything these people need, it's another freaking name.
Well, Karma was his girlfriend.
So he ended up going to prison for Yogi Bhajan. And internally, people saw it as like a badge of honor and the ultimate sacrifice for his leader. So when he got out, he was really hot shit. And he started Rama with Katie. He had this really high position in the cult and like all these women around him, and he would have them sleep on the floor as a sign of devotion to him. And he would insinuate himself into relationships with them because he was probably fiending for lady love after prison. And he even ended up marrying a student just a few weeks after her divorce.
It's so crazy. He's like comes out all badass out of prison. He's just like, yo, what's up? Like, I'm hardened up. I'm a criminal. What's up, ladies? And they're all like all around him, like how Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, used to have like, you know, cool like women come to his court hearings. Like this guy was a fucking badass. Like, I don't even understand. Also, he's not even good looking. Like, what do they want from him? He doesn't say anything. Yeah.
That moment was now everything is making sense. I mean, more sense now.
Okay.
Based off of the previous episodes. It's like Indian matchmaking when we recap, hey, go listen to those episodes. Is that as we get into episode 3 and 4, things in past episodes start to make their way in understanding what is happening, because this whole telling Katie to set up the business was mentioned, what, episode 1 or 2, set up the business under your name. Now, they didn't mention this, but like they mentioned in episode 1, is now that you realize that she had to set it up because of the restitution under Hari Jiwan. And I was like, okay, it has to be under Katie's name, so that way the money doesn't go to the lawsuit, the repayments of it. I'm like, yeah, okay, this all makes sense now.
So Nicole, a follower of Katie, aka Guru Jagat, says people think Katie is the top, but no, Stephen Herzl, aka Hari Jivan, aka Toner Bandit, is really the top. Energy flows from Toner Bandit to Katie and then to her students, who waft that pollution out into the world, like Yogi Bhajan trying to digest whole milk. And for those of you who are not familiar, that's a lactose intolerance joke, because a lot of Desi people are lactose intolerant.
Well, no, he loved Taco Bell, so he could eat that cheese. And
yeah, that too. So Haley Phelan from Vanity Fair says there's a question of who is using who. It was like a chicken and egg kind of thing with them. Stephen was like the wizard, and Katie rounded up all the females from Hocus Pocus. But Philip DeSilip Uncle reminds us of who truly is the biggest villain of them all. He says Stephen and Katie were just the JV versions of the OG villain Yogi B. They had nothing on him. Then Elizabeth, one of Katie's followers, tells us the story of them trying to open a new studio in Boulder, Colorado. So this is where it gets hella juicy. Basically, they were in on the studio with an investor, and Katie was spending like money up the ass that they didn't have. After the investor realized that they can't get any straight answers from her, they sent an email asking for a full financial report while Katie was live and on stage, like intentionally, purposely right at that time. So Katie during class starts texting to try to like change the password of the website before the investors can like take control of it. And it's like total chaos unfolding during the middle of class. And Elizabeth tells us that Stephen Herzl comes out that night. He starts cussing in his Yonkers accent in his Hari Jivan outfit. And then Katie is crying because she was so mad she didn't see this coming with all her psychic powers.
Do the accent. You got to do the accent, because it was hilarious when the girl did the accent.
Yeah, when the girl did the accent, it was hilarious, but I can only do Desi accents.
The Yonkers accent.
The Yonkers accent. But also the funniest part about the Yonkers accent is that he's doing it in his Hari Jivan outfit. Like if he was not in his Hari Jivan outfit.
Yeah. He was like, we got to fucking shut this down. Let's go. We got to fucking shut it down. And she was doing it like that. And I'm like, holy shit. So this guy's it's not even a scam artist at this point. It's like complete willful, like criminality from top to bottom. They're like, we're going to pretend to be Indian. We're going to take the Sikh religion. We're going to rip everyone off. Even after I go to prison, I'm going to come back and I'm going to make this white lady do it. Like, it's just, it was amazing. Like, no kudos to them, obviously, but holy shit.
The sleeping uncle would talk about the mafia and how once you're in jail and out of jail, you're always dirty as far as like the dirty money and the dirty like crime that you did. So you're like mafia status, or if you want to be in the mafia. So you kind of, I think about like a Toner Terry. What's his name again? Toner
Bandit.
Toner Bandit. He's more like mafia oriented now. Like the way the language he has. What is this a train wreck for you, Sabine? Now
Toner Terry. Like where did that come from?
Dude, last episode you're like, literally we're talking about Breath of Fire, and you're like, what was that kid's name in Indian matchmaking? Like Akshay, we said a billion times, and you called him like Rajiv or something. So
yeah, I know Rahul.
And Rahul, and then Toner Terry.
Toner Terry just sounds cool because it's TT. Toner Terry, like what?
Yeah,
Toner
we know that you like
cool.
TT. Okay.
Yeah. One.
I like chai.
One TT one time.
I like chai tea. Okay, TT. Okay.
Let's get our jokes out
going.
now.
Yeah, keep going.
All right, so then Stephen, the wizard, gathers Katie and the whole Hocus Pocus team, and they together do this Baba Chan mantra spell to make bad things happen to the investor. And I'm just watching like what in the Desi white hippie voodoo shit is going on. It was wild. But just like Katie's psychic abilities failed her, so did Baba Chand. And the lawsuit is filed against Katie and Stephen. And this is when things start getting insane. Katie starts rambling in the middle of class about how CPAs have no idea how numbers work and QuickBooks is a mind manipulation software. She starts yelling at employees and tells them it's an energetic adjustment for their own good. And then she even uses details that they disclose to her about prior abuse in confidence against them and discloses them like publicly during class to humiliate them in front of other students. So Haley Phelan from Vanity Fair reminds us this isn't just abusive behavior from a boss, but it's spiritual abuse because she positioned herself as their path to spiritual enlightenment. So Katie, though, in her audio recording tapes from her interview with Haley Phelan from Vanity Fair, says, I'm a straight shooter, a shoot from the hip East Coaster. If I was a man and was that kind of boss, no one would think about it.
I mean, they would. Of course they would.
Yeah.
Like you can say a boss is a fucking psychopath. Like my boss is a psychopath. I agree with her that a man could probably get away with it a little bit further. Like Yogi Bhajan got away with way more than Guru Jagat did. Like he got away with. Well, I guess I don't know. He's dead, so I don't know what he got away with. But she this is where you're right. It gets so juicy. This is where I'm like, oh my god, she's a catty bitch. Like that's what I thought. Like in the middle of the episode, I'm like. Because I didn't know because they've been holding shit back. But now I'm like, yes, now it all comes together. Overall, the first thing she is a catty ass bitch.
Yeah.
Now, you wouldn't say that if it was a man, would you?
No,
what would
you're
you
probably
say
right.
What
would I say? Yeah, you're right. No, that's a great question.
Oh, he's an aggressive business person.
No, you wouldn't say that. You'd be like, he's a psychopathic asshole. You'd say like, instead of catty bitch, maybe psychopathic asshole or something.
No, you would recognize, you're a female. You would recognize it as such. All right. But men in this world would be like how we treat other men, being like, okay, that guy, like the people, I'm not going to name names, but people that we know in the EV industry that also own the spaceship company as well, that particular person.
Yeah, so
like
we call
that guy's a god, that guy's amazing, that's whatever. Like
you think that's a general public view of that person?
That's
that
probably
people don't think they're insane.
50%. That is 50% of this population.
No, I said I agree with you. If it was a man, he could get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
Like because Yogi Bhajan never went to jail or prison, and he was on the FBI's radar.
He did lose
in the beginning of the episode.
arms and legs, though.
Yeah, I mean, he got what he deserved eventually, but he was still older. He had already done a bunch of criminality shit. He had somebody else go to prison for him. So I agree with you fully that men will get away with more. Like Martha Stewart went to fucking prison for doing exactly what every man probably does as a board member or knows shit before a trade or for a trade, right? So she got put in a terrible position when she did that.
I didn't like what she said. Well, as a startup founder for greatpods.co, go visit it. When she said, I don't care what
you remember that name. You remember that name pretty quickly.
Great Pods?
But not Akshay or Donor Bandit.
Okay, let me go. I don't care. She says, I don't care what the employees say. And I was like, that's a red flag as a startup founder.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, after all, this is her version of gender equality in her mind. Basically, Katie is the white turban feminist superhero following the footsteps of the deadbeat dad, Desi Yogi Bhajan uncle. So
yeah.
So we find out Yogi Bhajan referred to himself as a Saturn teacher who is a Greek god. And the myth is that he ate his children. So he said, if you are studying under a Saturn teacher and you don't do your homework, you have to have 15 spanks and you do it on the spot. And I'm like, who gave this uncle Greek mythology to read? Like, I don't know. That person needs to be fired. But Yogi, go ahead.
It was a blank check.
No, I was going to say, nice accent.
Thanks. That one I can do. But Yogi Bhajan would say he's not that type of teacher because he wants to be. It's because it's good for you and he's doing it for you as a favor to you. Okay. And then the documentary shows old recordings of this wild ass uncle yelling the most unhinged stuff like, your back spine will hurt like hell. It means you are a monkey idiot. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I don't even know what that means.
You tell us, Imran. You monkey idiot.
Hey. Oh my God, that was sad.
That was uncalled for. The
Came in
real
hot.
Sameem's back, baby. Sameem's back.
But does your back spine hurt? I feel like all of our back spines hurt from time to time.
I do my yoga stretch. It's my lower back yoga
see,
stretches. No, it doesn't. No, we're good. That's assault, brother.
Hey, for those listening, Imran's doing monkey pose right now. You guys just can't see it.
Yes, you guys are missing out. See, this is what happens when you give people like Sameem or our politicians a blank check of their behavior. This is very parallel to today's. Now? This is. Wait, what? Am I scratching my balls?
He said, "Why are you scratching your balls now?"
You know what's funny? You mentioned that there was a Maz Jobrani, one of the movies.
Dude, I know. Yeah.
Oh.
You sent it to me like half an hour ago.
Oh, I did? Oh, okay. I forgot, Rahul.
Oh my God, Imran.
Rahul.
Like maybe he took something that Yogi Bhajan smuggled.
Yeah. Are you high as shit right now? Just tell us. Before we're about to get into some deep ass shit, so you might as well. I understand.
We have to get this out now. We have to get.
If you had to puff pass.
Oh my
it's all
God!
Good. We had to get
you guys are horrible.
I mean, I already said what's coming up next.
Yeah. Okay, so then things, as Sameem's alluded to, start getting really disturbing, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but Mahani, one of the second-generation followers, basically describes being raped by Yogi Bhajan as a teenager. She said she was lured into his room by another woman telling her that Yogi Bhajan was going to give her a back adjustment. And she cries while recounting the story and says it's pain nobody should have to go through, especially at the hands of a spiritual teacher. So we hear Yogi Bhajan would openly talk about rape, saying things like rape is always invited. It never happens. In the mid-1980s, he and 3HO are subject to a bunch of lawsuits, including one that was settled, which alleged beatings, rape, sodomy, and being urinated on. Yogi Bhajan tells his followers the women lied, and they totally buy it. They just let it go and buy it. So Mahani, who was like young at that time, she didn't know anything about these lawsuits. And around the same time, she was moved to a little room on the ranch and was made to work as a secretary in corporate finance. At night, she would be called to Yogi Bhajan's room where he abused her and other women. She said there were multiple times where it was hard for her to walk and pee. Yogi Bhajan finally died a sick and frail death with partial foot amputations due to diabetes, because he, of course, never followed the healthy, happy, and holy advice that he gave his followers, like doing yoga and eating vegetarian diet. His favorite meal, on the other hand, was day-old mashed together Taco Bell that he'd eat bites of.
I know we like to eat cold pizza, but Taco Bell, like a day old and smashed it, man, that's nasty.
Like some weird fast food Mexican biryani. I don't even know what to think about that.
Hey, don't sully biryani like that.
Yeah, that's true. Biryani's way better than that. So he was able to avoid scandal his whole life. He even had dignitaries expressing condolences at his death, and a tribute to his life is read into the congressional record, which is just totally bizarre.
Mind-boggling, dude. Yeah. New York Times obituary, congressional leaders, LA Times articles, like praising the dude. Like, holy crap.
Dude, power begets power, right? Like it's like, this is not like the same situation. I was trying to think like who got really quickly exalted and elevated, like that guy from FTX crypto. Like,
oh yeah,
he built that exchange. He was able to get in front of celebrities and politicians right away. He took $100 million from Tom Brady. He took $50 million from Steph Curry. He got like crypto regulations loosened up like within like 3 or 4 months, because he was obviously paying off politicians into this whatever, like their super PACs. I don't know, but Yogi Bhajan obviously, like, he understood he needed to protect himself, so he was probably like, mingling with celebrities, dignitaries, all kinds of shit. So after he died, it was pretty wild to see that he was like revered when he died, even though all these allegations were already released.
Yeah. So, but remember like how he had those legitimate companies also that his followers built for him. So like 50% of Yogi Tea royalties, which by the way, I realized I have some downstairs in my house. I was like, oh shit,
we
this
all
is
do.
Yogi
I
Tea
know.
brown. Yeah. So 50% of the Yogi Tea royalties go into a trust used to pay his followers for work after his death, like for the work they did during his lifetime, the indentured servitude, if you will. And the documentary shows that it was worth $62 million. But the trust says in order to get payment from it, they have to uphold his teachings and reputation. So people stayed quiet for almost another 15 years until the end of 2019, when a woman named Pamela Sahara Dyson released her memoir, White Bird in a Golden Cage. That's the real name. I didn't make it up. The book opens with a pretty harrowing passage of her almost bleeding out after a botched abortion that Yogi Bhajan mandated after he impregnated her. So Yogi Bhajan's followers, who were still part of the organization, started doing all this damage control and calling students about Pamela's book. When Mahani got the call, she told them, "You aren't going to like what I have to say," and she told them she was raped by Yogi Bhajan. So this begins the unraveling of the entire organization. They then hire an outside firm known as Olive Branch to do a third-party investigation, and Olive Branch validates everything. They say there's rape, physical injury, spiritual abuse, manipulation, emotional abuse, etc., etc. After all of that, Rama came out and said Yogi Bhajan was a saint. They like literally, after all that third-party report, yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. They say there's nothing bad he could have done. Hari Jivan, aka Stephen Herzl, said Pamela made it all up and it was a love story gone wrong. And he
So
made
disgusting.
Rama.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. And he made Rama put that statement out, even though Katie didn't want to. So Haley Phelan from Vanity Fair actually point blank asked Katie why she didn't speak up against Yogi Bhajan. And she said, he remains a historic figure and she doesn't think it's productive to concern herself with whether, George Washington did something she doesn't agree with in 2021. Because basically like slavery and Native American genocide, whatever.
She's insane. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It is insane because this is not that long ago. We're not talking about 200-year-old history. We're talking about like less than 50 years old history.
Yeah.
We're
Just
actually
because we're
talking
hooking
about
up in the
less than
70s.
5-year-old history, because this investigation that Shubnam just referred to came well after his death. And this only came about because of the book Bird.
White Bird in Golden Cage.
And we're talking about decades-long abuse. Like
decades-long
each
abuse
decade had
from
that
the
abuse.
60s.
You can't just be like, oh, the 60s, they were hooking up. It was like, no, the dude was kept on going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had a calculated effect. Like, this is like very Warren Jeffs, right? Like, it ends up being like not just like financial gain, which was most of this episode, and the end of it just comes in where he was a complete controlling, raging rapist psychopath. Like, and then to go on stage and say rape isn't real, and then Hari Jiwan does it, where he calls it a love story, and then Katie does it too.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy how it comes down like that. But
yeah, and you'd think, okay, Katie's a woman, maybe she would not do that, but no, she also basically starts going fully insane at this point. She digs her heels in and starts saying, like, this is untrue, and she's being attacked by robots, which I'm like, this is like fully unhinged at this point. Like, I was like, what the hell?
It's like, well, they live on Twitter, also social media. So she's like, robots.
I had to rewind it. I was like, what robots? Yeah. She meant social media robots, right? She meant bots.
She meant like bots, I think. Yeah. I don't know what she meant. I don't think we
can't assume. We don't know actually what she thinks because she
started her business on Instagram. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
She's probably fucking trolling through those comments every day nonstop. Like she's
yeah.
But then at some point, Rama does sever ties with 3HO.
Yeah, that's right. They do. Her feminist image is completely trashed, and she apparently tells Elizabeth, one of her followers, that Yogi Bhajan's victims were just quote unquote a bunch of sluts that wanted fame. And Katie used to joke that if it were true that he actually did rape these people, they would have special powers and they would have been lucky to have those powers. It's just like, it's like beyond, this is very like unhinged, disturbed, narcissistic, psychopathic kind of
manipulation.
Like, yeah, delusional.
She learned from the best. She learned from the best, right? Like she said she did. So
grifters be grifting
at all times.
Yeah.
Like that's the grift, right? It's like you can't ever let up on the gas, otherwise the grift can come apart. Like in the middle of the episode, Hari Jiwon goes to prison for being the toner bandit, and they just come right back out, and they're like, let's just keep doing the shit. Like,
yeah.
And then even before that, his lieutenant went to prison for drugs, and they don't really mention who that guy was, though. It was just like a senior lieutenant, but yeah, I don't know.
It gives them a legacy, an edge in their legacy. You look at things today, the people that we see today that get the most news today. I can just mark parallels from those types of cults, as it were, with this cult, and it's you can see those parallels. Like when you learn about it through this documentary and also see it in real life in real time, it's like things start to make a lot more sense. And how people can get manipulated and where they are in their status with society. I mean, a lot of these followers, they were searching for something. So if you look at real time and what's happening, they're searching for something deep, personal. It's all individually based, and people can tap into that certain characteristics and how to get them on board and pay you lots of money to make you think like you're healing. Making think like you're a part of that community. It's
or like you're part of a bigger cause. You have purpose.
Yeah. And I know I said in the previous episode where I didn't appreciate, like I was like, Breath of Fire is a little too serious for me. But this episode made me appreciate the documentary a lot more because of real time antics happening in our society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so at that point, Stephen Herzl, aka Hari Jivan, he knew that Katie couldn't play this role of bringing young women in anymore. Like her feminist image was totally shot, and that game was completely over. And so quickly and surgically, he cut her off and removed her from Rama. And even with her psychic powers and magical thinking, she did not see it coming. And then we end with this ominous spoiler from episode 4 that she ends up dying shortly thereafter, but that's the spoiler for episode 4.
Which they say like she didn't have to die because
it's and curious.
I guess and they end the episode. Well, a kids choir sounds like of Beach Boys' "Good Vibrations," and I like their music selections. They really tie in perfectly, even lyrically, with these episodes.
Yeah. The music selection was awesome. I mean, I have to be honest, the song right at the beginning, Money by the Flying Lizards, I added that to my playlist. It's really good.
That's the only song they could have played in the beginning. Like it's such a that's the song you would play if you were trying to show that somebody was scamming someone. And then you show them with their Rolls Royces and their jewelry and everything, and you play that song, you're like, this guy fucking scammed someone. There's no way he got this legitimately.
It's also really like playful in LA too, I feel like.
Yeah, it was so cool. Like that was a good opening scene.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm gonna get out of here.
Wait, you're ending? You don't end this. We end this, okay?
Oh man, this episode got me, bro. This episode got me, dude. The last half hour got me. I need to go take a shower.
Yeah, and that's rough. And that is quite the. I just want to reiterate the fact that we did briefly discuss Mahani's scenes. She does have a good stake in her storytelling. It is a bit heavy, so we invite you. We don't want to retell her story. It is her story to tell. So those that are listening, please check out episode 3 and hear her speak in her ways of what type of abuse she went through and hearing her voice. So I'll leave that on why we kind of made it a little more surface level than deep dive on that story.
Yeah. And also just, obviously want to applaud the courage it takes to tell those types of stories, especially in such a public way. And so definitely want to acknowledge that. But yeah, definitely watch it. You're interested in hearing her story from her.
Samim, any closing words for your end?
I think you said it very nicely. It was pretty powerful. She was pretty brave, obviously.
Yeah.
She was extremely brave.
Yeah. And so, and on that note, we will end this episode. I think my summary of the entire episode based off of these cults was do as I say, not as I do. And so that was kind of prevalent throughout the episode with these leaders in there. And we'll leave you with that, ladies and gentlemen. This episode of Breath of Fire, episode 3. Stay tuned for the last episode next week, Breath of Fire episode 4, and we'll have that recap as well. So I guess I'm going to take my leave. What about you guys?
I'm going to take my leave too.
Let's play that jingle.
And we will somberly play that jingle on a happy, serious note, whatever you want to call it. But let's get out of here and check you guys on the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Yoga Lane.
Bye-bye. This episode was produced, edited, marketed, and created by Shebnam, Captain Ron, and Samim of Jai After Dark LLC in association with Great Pods.